Welcome back. You're with blah, 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 blah. You're with Crystal here from Crystal Clear Coaching or blah 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 blah. Crystal Clear Coaching, which if I really try hard I can say clearly. Crystal Clear Coaching. Ka-ching. The silliness is popping off today. We love a bit of silly. It's rather hot here. Why am I wearing a long sleeve shirt? I can't answer that question other than it looked cool with my outfit when I was in the air conditioning, and now I'm no longer in the air conditioning. And it's still cotton, still light colours, breathable. Important to me. That's important to me. But here we are. If you can see my skirt, it goes well with it. Same blues, a little bit of paler colour, but a pattern of florals mixed with a pattern of stripe. Now, I grew up with a mother that told me not to mix patterns ever. And at some point, I decided, well, that's not very whimsical. But it's still in my brain, don't mix patterns. But then, is a stripe really a pattern, or is it just its own thing? I kind of think a stripe is a pattern. And there it is. There's my skirts. It's just so fun together. Anyway, that was a weird start to the video, wasn't it? I don't know, but I'm leaning into embracing if a weirdness comes out. Just being real and not editing myself, because part of me wants to go back and start re-recording this video. Some of you might be wishing I had. But that's okay. It's okay. Anyway, here we are on a humid day here in Queensland, and I am showing up for my daily habit of saying hello on here and talking about some stuff that, really, I'm here mostly to ask you good questions to ask yourself to help improve your life. There might be a little bit of a moment of you feeling a little confronted by the questions, but sometimes it might be an instant epiphany. Wow, if only I'd thought to ask myself that question years ago. So yeah, I'm all about the good questions over here, looking in and tuning into you, being your own best barometer for where you're at in life, what's the gap between where you are now and where you'd like to be, where are those desires calling you to, but asking the questions to figure out, well, what's blocking you from that. Maybe what's blocking you is that you're not willing to look a little silly. Clearly, I'm okay with being silly because I'm uploading this video where I mince my words with a name like Crystal Clear Coaching too, and I still manage to, being clear is very important in that. And yet, I'm leaning into the fact that sometimes being clear is saying it wrong and then just instantly saying it again, trying again, not being afraid of looking like a fool. Not being afraid of speaking your truth, telling what you want to tell to the world, to someone that's important to you, to a contact that might get you that foot in the door that you need in order to pursue your dreams. Whatever it is, you gotta be willing to look a little silly, and also, it's fun to be silly. Don't you want to have more fun? If you just let go of how are people perceiving me, often it's just one or two people living rent-free in our brains telling us that they're going to say that we're silly in a bad way. Maybe they like to lean into the silly too, but they're going to say, oh, is this a good choice for you? And they're just question and judge your own discernment of what you want to do in your own life. It's well, if you just want to be silly, or do things that might come off as foolish, risk looking foolish, rather than, I'm not just talking about being silly for the sake of having fun and being silly and all that. I'm talking about the times where you had to put yourself out there in order to get where you're going, and you're going to have to take a whole bunch of rejection before you get, the really beautiful yes. And even then, it might not be that straightforward. Like, it probably won't be. So how many times are you going to put yourself out there? You just don't know. For instance, I shared it that I went to a networking event yesterday, and I am just going out meeting people, and, there's not generally a lot of costume people that go along to these kind of networking events. I tend to be frequently one of the only, if not one of the couple. And, they're not necessarily the people that are going to be able to hire me in costume, but even if I just meet someone that works in a different department that might have a costume friend, you just don't know where the connections are going to land. And also, same ways for them meeting me as well. Like, there might be a connection. They might decide, for instance, that they wanted to go and work in New Zealand for a while, and being Australian, they can do that, just like Kiwis can come over here to Australia. And by being in touch with me, I can now put them in contact with my mates and film over there, and, it goes both ways. So, but you just never know where it's going to come from. And you might go to a networking event and feel like, oh, I didn't get a job out of it. But that's not the point. The point is building connections, cultivating connections, and, when you look back, you might figure out, oh, I did actually get a job that's through meeting someone there that I met or told me to go and join this thing, and then I joined that thing, and then because somebody actually knew me, had met me, then there was someone to vouch for me, or whatever it was, you just don't know how it's all going to pan out. But you have to show up and be willing to be a fool, say the wrong thing with a bunch of new people, a whole group of new people that you're introducing yourself to, in order to do it. And the biggest case in point for me, I really learnt networking and became confident at stepping forward and networking and being willing to look like a fool through doing my first personal development course back in 2012. If I hadn't have done that, there's no way that I would have, first pulled myself together enough to go travelling in the first place, to then move over to London, to then choose to do that do more programs through that same organisation. That led me to being across the road, helping with that organisation on the day that the first costume seminar that I'd had to Google it for 11 months whilst working at a pub in London, that the first costume networking event that came up, and that time I was there, happened to be exactly across the road from where I was being empowered by this other organisation that I love dearly, that really helped me so much step forward and understand that everybody's just a person. If they're at a networking event, they want to network. So you've already, got it in there. You just got to be willing to put yourself out there, get a few emails, and reach out in a timely manner. And that networking event that I went to, after feeling empowered from coming straight from one of the other events that was literally across the road, thanks universe, led to me then getting work on Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and that then led to work on James Bond. And there's a couple other little things that probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for those exact connections that started in the first place. I even did a day on a Snow White film called The Huntsman. It was a prequel to Snow White and the Huntsman, filmed after though. And that was a magical day. It was just one day, but it was magical. And that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't willing to show up and network and be a fool and trip over my words in front of people that I'm trying to impress and get to hire me. And and you can also, you have to look the fool in dating relationships as well. Can you honestly say that if there's something on your heart, you're willing to speak it rather than just have it hang there in the ether, or like, is it? I mean, there's such an art. There's such a different dynamic that happens for dating and relationships, but isn't it better that somebody knows how you feel than not? Like, is it not worth putting yourself out there to get the no, just so you know? Or maybe you won't look like a fool and it'll be a yes and somebody is into it too, But if you don't put yourself out there, if you're not willing to look like a fool, you'll just keep procrastinating and not move forward. Mel, it is sweaty, sorry. Shiny. I sparkle from the inside out. But yeah, there is so much. It's so easy to procrastinate on putting yourself out there in these small ways because you're like, oh, what are all the ways it could go wrong? And like, again, I'm never coming from a pedestal when I talk about things like this, because like usually I'm reminding myself to do it as well. Like, I need to put myself out there more, and I need to send that email, sign up to that website that hosts the kind of work I'm looking for, that will then connect me hopefully with the people that I'd like to work with, or whatever it is at the time. Could be signing up for a new dating site that is more intentional, that isn't just for a quick meet and greet only to never see them again. So, yeah. You just gotta show up and be foolish sometimes. But also, often that makes you, if you're willing to be foolish looking, often that makes you quite entertaining to be around. You can kind of become a bit of the clown in your circles, which is potentially why a lot of people know and love you, because you're willing to look like a fool in order to get what you want out of life, to enjoy your life, to like not take everything so seriously. But also you're like not willing to not stake your claim and put it out there, even if you're going to get rejection after rejection, Let's be a little more silly and foolish, risk foolishness. I mean, really? Are you not more of a fool if you just sit on your hands and never do anything about anything, and because you're too scared to act? Is that not the biggest mistake of all? I don't know. Anyway, that's what came out of my mouth today. We never know, do we? I didn't before I came on here. I was kind of thinking about something like this earlier today, so I guess it did come out. And then I was making silly faces at the camera before, so likelihood is I would have put on a really choice thumbnail for you to enjoy. You've seen it, I'm sure, by now. And you get to laugh along. I just want to put a little disclaimer, though. A little disclaimer. Notice if you're the clown too often and you're leaning into the foolishness so much to the point that you never take anything seriously, because there is a fine art, because sometimes you do need to, if you're just the clown, make a joke of everything, you never take anything seriously, then you're not looking at your shit. And you're not able to heal your shit. Like, that's something that, because I leant into being the clown to the nth degree, my coach will call me out when I try and make a joke of shit, when I actually need to look at it. So, something to notice. Anyway, go be foolish in all the right ways to expand your life. And much love, and I will see you tomorrow.